Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm the creative director of Oriana Couture. If you are just visiting this channel for the first time, please kindly subscribe and hit on your notification bell so you can get notified once I upload any sewing tutorial. So this video is a continuation of the one we drafted. So for the cowl neck, you remember we slashed that part in we slashed it open. So you place your pattern paper on the folded edge of your fabric and slash it open. Meanwhile, this video is going to be a long one, so if you find this interesting, please kindly stay till the end and then watch out on how I am going through the process. So on that part, you are going to mark across. You are not going to create that neckline. You just mark across just as I'm doing right now, and make sure it's straight, and then if possibly you have to use your pin to hold your fabric and your pattern paper, you kindly do so. So on those parts, you just add 0.5 inch on the side. And remember, on the pattern paper we didn't add our sewing allowance, so this is me, I'm adding my sewing allowance. But if you don't want to forget, you can add your sewing allowance to your pattern paper so you won't forget. But this is how I prefer to do it, and then I'm connecting all these lines together to get it accurate. So I've gone ahead to do that, and I'm just going to be cutting through all the lines, and then cut all through the lines. I'm actually cutting outside my lines. I'm actually cutting outside my lines. And on this part, this is the effect it's going to give you after cutting. This is how it's going to look like, and then you take it out. So for that opening, it all depends on what you want. You can open it by 5 inch, you can open it by whatever number of inch. So you can see the outcome that we are going to have after joining it together. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut the facing for that part, and I'm trying to iron out on my fabric. Apologies, this video is very fast because it's a very long one, and I had to really fast forward it, give it a fast speed so that we won't spend enough time on this video. So that's why you can see that the video is very fast. So it's not really difficult, just follow through the process, and with my voiceover you would understand this. Thank you. So I'm trying to cut out the facing that you cut. Make sure you cut it up to your under bust. You can see I didn't cut it to the waistline, but some persons would want to cut it to the waistline. It all depends on your preference, but for me, I just decide to manage the fabric that I have here. And meanwhile, when you are drafting yours, depends on the body size, you either use 3 yards of fabric or 2.5 yards of fabric. So for this video, I'm using only 2 yards of fabric. So this is the back. I've gone ahead to place the pattern paper for the back, and then I've cut out. And remember, when you are cutting for the back, those edges, you need to add your seam allowance. So right now I'm going to be drafting the skirt part. So the skirt part is not difficult. It's just your usual basic skirt where you place your waistline, your darts, and all of this. So this is just the usual basic skirt. If you don't know how to do a basic skirt, I have a video of how I drafted that my basic skirt for the previous video. So then I've gone ahead to take the length of the skirt that I want. That is how I'm going to be attaching it from the half length, and I'm just placing in all my measurements and connecting all these lines together. Apologies, I didn't know that this video is really going to be this fast, and a bit giving it some errors. So please, I sincerely apologize for that. So on that waistline, I came down by 0.5, and then I connected it to the edge. This is because so that we won't have that bopping part on our skirt, and I'm just trying to mark out all my lines. So this is what you are going to do. You mark out all the lines, make it very clear. Don't draft this on your fabric, always draft on your pattern paper, especially for new beginners, always draft on your pattern paper so you will get an accurate skirt, basic skirt measurement. And always remember to cut outside your lines. Cut outside your lines. So I'm trying to create the back. So the back, this is me trying to create my zipper line, so I'll be able to place my skirt very well. If you have any questions, please kindly comment on the comment section, and then I'll respond to you while you watch out how I draft for the back pattern. So this back pattern, I kind of give it more space on the zipper. I gave on the bump aspect, where that is our buttocks would have space. It's not usually straight. It's not really straight, so I have to zoom in my camera so you can see this very well. So it's not really straight. So on that part of the skirt, I'm going to extend 1 inch for the skirt allowance on that part. I'm going to bring it out and connect it to the hip, and then on the hip I'm going to bring out either 1.5 or 2 inch. It all depends on your preference. I'm going to bring it out and then connect it together. So this is for the side, that is for the side, and that is it. So those excess allowance will go on the zip. So look at what I'm going to be doing on this other side. You can see on the waistline on that part, I did not go up straight. You can see how curved it is. You can see how I'm doing it. I'm curving it into the front pattern. So this is because we want to give room for our buttocks so that it won't be so tight on that part. So that's another way I recently learned how to draft a perfect pencil skirt. And you can see on that other part I cut it straight. So the 1 inch down that is on that side will then automatically be on the other side of the skirt. So I've gone ahead to take in my dart, and the dart for the front I came down by 5, and the dart for the back I came down by 6, and then I've created my dart leg. So for this skirt I'm going to be covering the dart leg. I don't want to take that for this crepe, but if you feel like taking that for your crepe, kindly go ahead and do that and take your dart. But for this tutorial I'm going to be closing my darts, because the darts I really don't like seeing my darts. So for me to be on a safer side or to have a neater job, I just have to close my darts. So this is me. I'm trying to take a perfect measurement, closing up my dart. You use this paper tape to close, either a paper tape or masking tape to close your dart. So this is me. I'm trying to close my dart, and you can see I'm trying to use the masking tape to close the dart. And then, sorry, at some point I needed to be sure, that's why I had to place that part that we slashed out. And then this is me. I'm trying to retake my waist measurement and then reshape the pattern paper. So this process is what I'm also going to do to the back. It's not difficult, just wash through and you're going to get it. So I'm going to repeat the same process for the back. So I'm done doing that, and I'm going to be cutting this on my fabric of the camera. So this is the first thing we're going to do. So the first thing, you take your facing and sew from that edge to the other edge, and This is when I'm done sewing. You can see it's closed. Make sure the front is facing each other. This crepe is a two-face crepe, so that is why you can see that it's actually like this. So please bear with me on this video. It's really long, so exercise some patience. So this is me taking out the pins for the back, because I had to use, after cutting, I use pins to hold them. So I have 4 pieces for this back, 2 on the left and 2 on the right. So you can decide not to cut the back to be this long or the same length. You just do what works for you, but don't use bias to turn the neckline for the back. Use facing to do so. So I'm trying to mark so I would know which I would use for both the back and the front. So I'm trying to mark which I'll use for both the back and the front, and also aligning it so it will be equal. Please, when you are dealing with a shaking fabric, always align it very well. So you see those parts I just did. I'm going to be sewing on those parts. I'm going to be sewing on those parts and then showing you how it looks. So this is the result of it. You can see this is the result that we have, and then trim out all the excess that is on it. So you have to trim out all the excess. I had to use a lighter color of thread for one side of the back so you can see where I sewed through, and also trim out all the excess. Is very important so that when you iron, it will relax very well. When you iron, it will relax very well, and then you bring out all those edges. That is the part where we'll have our hook. You bring it out, also you close that part, you bring it out. The only part that you are not going to be closing is your shoulder. You are closing your neckline, you are closing that part, you are closing your back, but you are not going to be closing your shoulder for now. You won't be closing your shoulder for now, although you are going to do that soon. So I'm trying to bring out all those edges. Make sure you notch them. Some other parts you notch. Prepare your industrial iron. Make sure it is very hot, and then you give it a good press. You give it a good press as I'm doing. You can see the steam is coming out of the iron because the iron is already very hot for this already. Make sure you give it a good press. But another thing, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just ironing on top of the fabric. But when you are dealing with your fabric or a client's fabric, don't place the iron on top of the fabric. It's wrong. Rather, you place a plain, that, let's say, a white handkerchief, something that would not wash on the fabric. For safety, because just in case your iron is not this industrial iron, so it wouldn't burn, but rather it would give it would iron very well and just avoid those burning that you have, or making the fabric looking whitish kind of, so it's always safe to place a fabric on top of a small fabric on top of your the style you're sewing, and then you just iron. Please take note of this. Apologies, I have cold. That is why I am sounding this way. Please, I'm so sorry. I have cold. So I'm trying to iron out all these edges so it would sit well. I needed to do this part so you all would see how this iron is working. If you don't have this type of iron, just make do of what you have. But this is how they use this kind of iron. It's an industrial iron. So make sure you give it a good press as I'm doing so. So I'm done ironing and just going to place the back together and then bring the front, one of the shoulder. I'm going to take one of the shoulder to sew on one of the shoulder for the back. Just watch carefully as I'm doing this. You pick one side of the front shoulder and place it on the back shoulder. Remember, we have done something like this, how to close up your shoulder, taking one piece from the back, to cover up for the front, or either one piece for the front to cover up from the back. So whichever works for you. Just make sure these two lines are kissing each other, they are facing each other, and then you bend. After bending, you would sew with 0.5 inch. When you bend, make sure that means automatically the four fabric, that is both the lining, the material for the front and the back, are facing each other. They are very, very close to each other. So this is how it looks after sewing. I have to take it very close for you to see. This is how it looks after sewing. You're going to repeat the same process on the other shoulder and do the same thing. So this is me. I went ahead to join the front skirt to the half length, and then I close up the armhole. I closed up the armhole. I'm trying to iron it out, so then it will have a very good it would sit very well. When you are working with this type of iron, you have to be very careful because of the steam. So I've closed the armhole for one side, and then I'm giving it a very good press. So I'm done ironing for one part of the armhole. You can see how neat it is. So I'm going to repeat the same process for the other armhole. I'm going to show you how I closed the armhole. So this is me. I'm trying to pick the front and the back together. So I would show you how it is. You come down by 0.5 on that part of your shoulder. You come down by 0.5, and then sew by 0.5 to the edge of your armhole, and then turn. If you are sewing it, you are not sewing it on the right, on the wrong. You have to turn, that is right side facing each other. You turn right side facing each other, and then you sew. Don't just sew it straight like that. Make sure you turn right side facing each other. So when you're not sewing, you are sewing on the back of the, that is, you are sewing on the back. You are not sewing it from the front. You are sewing it from the inside. So just follow this process. You can see I'm marking it out so you understand what I did. You sew, when you are sewing, when you get to that edge, you just reduce your stitches. So I'm going to repeat the same process for this part. Come down by 0.5, and then you would turn. You can see I've turned, and then I would hold with my pin. I would hold, because this is very tricky. You have to really take your time to watch this video very well so you would understand. And then I would also hold the other side of the fabric. Make sure you just ensure that you are following each step, and then you sew with 0.5 from that part. Come down by 0.5, come down by 0.5, and then sew by 0.5 to the armhole. Make sure you sew to the armhole. When you are working with shaking fabric like crepe, make sure you use your pin to hold it, so you won't go and sew excess and then mess up your fabric. So when I'm done sewing, I'm going to show you how it looks. So this is me. I'm done sewing. I don't know if you can see the thread. Just take a look at it. I'm done sewing. And then don't forget to always trim out all your excess. Trim out all the excess on the fabric. Trim out all the excess on the fabric, so that when you are giving it a good press, it would sit very well. Make sure you do that, and then take out all your pins. Take out all your pins, take out all the threads that needs to be taken out, and then you turn to the right side. You can see you can see how neat it is, and then you then give it a good press. This is very important when working this way, especially with fabric. This kind of fabric, crepe fabric, you have to be ironing every part of the seam. Always iron every part of the seam. we are done giving it a good press, and then we need to close the shoulder. Remember, we have closed one side of the shoulder, so you can see the front and the back is closed. You can't see any of the rough edges. So I'm going to be showing you how I did that on one side of the other shoulder. You place the front facing each other, and then you pick the two shoulders. You pick those two shoulders. Just watch carefully. It's very tricky. You pick the two shoulder, take one part of the fabric, bend it to the other side, bend it to the other side. So that is the front side facing each other, just like we did on that other one. But this one, you have to be careful when you are doing it. Make sure all the fabric, everything is closing, like that is all the material. Yeah, they are holding it firmly. Just use your I have to just use my office pin to do this, so it won't be shaking. So make sure you use your office pin to do this. So you can see I've pinned one side of it, and if you look carefully, we have 4 in total, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. Make sure it's just more like an English sewing where you see that space that will give, you can see it. So you sew by 0.5 to the end of that space. Remember, we came down by 0.5 before closing the armhole. So that little space that would not sew to the end, that's what you are going to use to infuse your shoulder and sew. And this is what we have. This is what we have. You can see the front is closed and the back is closed. So it just give you a very nice finishing. But if you cannot do this process, you can just do the normal one where you will just sew the shoulder and the two shoulder together, and then you overlock it so it will be neat. This is for the purpose of those that don't have overlocking machine. You just work with that process. So I'm going to be marking the sides. Remember, for this skirt part, I did not sew it. Didn't cut a straight skirt. It's more like an A-line skirt, so it will be free for me because I really don't like fitted clothes. So you can either do your own flay or fitted, whatever you want. So right now I'm going to be putting in my zipper. So I'm trying to align this together so that I will fit in my zipper. I'm sure you all know how to fix your zip. So I'm going to be putting my zip on that line and then showing you how it looks after fixing the zip. So this is it. This is the zip. I have to use this color, which is also pink, but it's baby pink, not a fuchsia pink. So you can see the outcome that we have. If you have overlocking machine, please overlock all the inner edges that we have. So right now I'm going to, you can see the cowl neck is coming to life. And I've gone ahead to close my side. I took my measurements and just closed the two sides. So that's what you are going to do, because this video is too long, so I just have to do that off the camera. So for that part, you use any of these things to close up the hook. Either you use that hook or the pressing button, whichever works for you. Just do whichever works for you, either the pressing button or the hook, whichever works for you. So this is me. I had to put it on for you all to see how it looks. Tell me what you think on the comment section. If you have any question, also let me know. If you're yet to subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe on my channel so you can get notified once I upload any sewing tutorial by hitting on the notification bell. So when I upload any sewing tutorial, you'll be the first to be notified. Thank you so much for staying till the end of this video. Bye.